Hi, Carmel from Prolemon Games. Today we'll be going over Train and its basic tools and buttons and how to use them. So the first thing we need to do is access the Train editor. Usually it's already open if your Roblox Studio is freshly installed. But just in case it's not, all you have to do is go to the Home tab and you'll see it here on the left side of the toolbox and it should bring up the terrain editor. It usually comes up on the left side of your screen, but you can move it around anywhere you wish. Now that we have our train editor open, you'll see three tabs here: Create, Region, and Edit. Create lets you generate terrain automatically. You can choose the position, size, and biomes that you want to generate. You can also choose if you want to add caves or not. Let's try generating one, shall we? Let's leave the size as is for now. And maybe just mess around with the biomes. I want something with water, mountains, lavascape, and let's see, Arctic. There we go. And then click generate and wait. As you can see, it generated a terrain with everything that we set. Here are the mountains, we see some water here, the lavascape, and the Arctic. I'd say it's not a pretty bad start for how quick it is. Well, I think the only thing you can't control here is where things appear. Seems like it's randomly generated. Anyway, that is where the region and edit tabs are for. That being said and done, let's move on to the next tab, which is edit. When working with terrain, the edit tab is what we're mainly going to be using, just to make our terrain look the way we want it to. The first thing we'll talk about is the add tool. So the first thing you'll notice is there's a big ball on your cursor. This is like your brush to draw or add terrain into your world. While you're drawing, you also notice that there are grids around your brush. This is for you to see on what plane and angle you're drawing the terrain on. You'll also see if we click and drag, it's just drawing terrain on that grid. Also note that as long as you're holding your left click button, you're free to move around or move your camera and you'll keep on drawing terrain on the same grid. Now that we know how the add tool works, let's move on to the add settings. There's brush settings and material settings. First, let's go over to the material settings. It's super simple. You'll see that there are different kinds of materials here that you can play around and experiment with it in your own world to see what it looks like. Next is the brush settings for add. You'll see there are three different brush shapes: circle, square, and cylinder. For now, we'll only go over the base size, which changes the size of your brush. We won't be going over the other ones since this tutorial is just the basics. The next tool we have is subtract, and basically it's just the opposite of the add tool, which deletes the train. You just mouse over the existing train and click and drag, then it will delete the existing train. For the next tool, we have grow. For this one, you'll want to have a land already down. I recommend starting with a flat surface before playing around with this tool. You can use this tool to add texture to your world, make it look bumpy, or create hills and mountains with it. To use it, just click over the train you currently have and you'll see it grow from the existing train. Now let's move on to the brush settings for grow, and you'll see it's pretty much the same for the brush settings for add. The only difference here is that there's a strength option. What it does is it controls how fast or how slow the tool grows on train. If we set it to a 0.1, you'll see the growing effect is super slow. Now let's set it to 1, and now it goes super fast. So the next one and the last one we'll talk about today is the erode tool, which is complete opposite of grow, which means wherever you apply this erode tool, it will make it smaller. It's like the subtract tool, but with this, you'll have much control. You'll usually use this when sculpting something like a mountain or a river. It also has the same strength setting as a grow tool. The lower the strength, the slower it will erode, and vice versa. So that's it for today's video. There will be a part 2 where we'll talk about the remaining tools, and we will also try to create a simple landscape using the tools that the rain editor has. I hope you learned something with us today, and I'll see you all in the next video.